Hello and welcome to Code World. In this video series, we are creating our project named Library Management System in C language. This is fourth part of our video series. In this, we are going to create our new function which name is issue, and in this we will code about how to issue a book to a student. In previous three videos, we are already created index.c, add new.c and registration.c. In this video, we are creating issue.c. So let's first think what is that condition in which we are going to issue a book or deny to issue a book. First of all, we will ask our candidate to input his or her ERP ID. First of all, he will insert his ERP, but according to ERP, we will not decide that to he is eligible to take book from library. So we have to show that this ERP ID is in our database or not. If he is a member of that institute, then he can issue a book. Otherwise, he have to register himself to issue a book. So first of all, we will going to show that here we have a database which named was we have already named it in last videos. This is our database, and the database name was I think student record.txt. First of all, we will input a ERP ID from user. Let's say he have inputted something like 7 6 8 like this. Then we will search this particular ERP ID in our database named student.txt. If our ERP ID is found, this ERP ID is present in student.txt, then he will eligible for issue book. Otherwise, we will print a message that you are not eligible to issue a book. So first of all, we have to find that this particular ERP ID is present in our database or not. So let's start our coding first. Then here I am commenting this line and again starting from here. We will use here file concept, so let's include it hash include stdio.h. This will allow to use our variable of file type. First we are declaring our variable character ch and word. This is for inputting from user, and str of size 10,000 to get data from our database, and a temporary variable of ptr. This is our pointer which hold the address of that position where our ERP ID is found or not. Now also we take integer type value I for a loop, and file. This will help us to open file, allow operation with our file functions. First of all, we have to open our file, that is our file name student record.txt. This is the file where our student data is recorded. or a student data are present, and this we are opening this in read mode so that the content of file we can read. Now let's print a message that input your ERP ID. Let's here input your ERP ID, and here and gets it in word. Word is here a variable, sorry, it is a array of 12 size, so we cannot input more than 12 character in this. According to word, we are finding that our ERP ID is present in this or not, but in this str we are doing nothing till now. In str we are going to store all the values that are present in our file, which named is studentrecord.txt. So let's do it. First of all, we are initializing I with 0 and a do while loop. First of all, in ch we are assigning character which we are reading from studentrecord.txt. We are using a loop here because our function which name is get c, it means it will read one character from the file which is stored in fp pointer. So here in fp pointer our file is stored, that is studentrecord.txt, and it is opened in read mode. So here it will read character by character and assign to ch, but here ch is a character type, so it can contain only one character and it will contain the last character. So we are storing this value in ith position of str. Here we are assigning the value of ch. From this function one character is reading from studentrecord.txt and it will assign to ch, and from this line ch will assign to ith position of str. First our ith position is 0, so it will assign to str0 and assign ch the value of ch which is reading from studentrecord.txt. After this we will increase the value of I so that next value will put in str I plus 1th position, that is from here it will assign first value to 0th position, and from the next line we are assigning the value to str 1 position, and here we will end our loop. And from while we have to store this value till str ith position is not equal to \n, that is it will iterate our loop till str ith position is not equal to \n. From now our inputted value which a student entered in word, from here we are getting his ERP ID from word, and now the whole record from a studentrecord.txt is now assigned to str. Now we are comparing that our data which is stored in word, that is our ERP ID, is present in a studentrecord.txt or not. So we will compare that word data is present in str or not. So here we are using a function str. It will compare that str is present, sorry, str contained the value of word or not. If it will true, then its value will assign to temp. From this line, if the word is present, if this word, the value of this word is present in str, then the value of temp will be that pointer which is locating our ERPID in the file. If the data is not present, then the value of temp will be assigned null. So here we can check that our data is found or not. Let's check it first. We are using a conditional that the value of temp not equal to null. That is, if the value of temp is not equal to null, it means that our data is found. So here we can print that you are eligible for issue book. You are eligible issue book. That's it. And else, in else part, we can say that you are not eligible and register yourself to get books, and here a \n, and here we are closing our file pointer, that is fclose our fp. It will close our open data which is stored in fp. So here we can run it. Let's save it and run from. We are debugging from here, and I have already told you that if we are running it, we have to run from index.c. Let's say what is the error. Let's find it. Yes, here we are using ptr and we are declaring temp. Now let's run it, debug, build it, fclose. What is the error here? Here we have missed that, here a semicolon. Now save it and debug again. Yes, now it is compiled successfully. We are running it from index.c. Let's see what is the value. Oh, first of all, I don't remember what is our inputted data, so let's read it from the file first. Here we can read our data. Oh, in previous video we are inputted ERPID in this only, so let's manually input it from here, that MCA and ERPID. Let's save this, and from here we are using MCA and ERPID, this one, and one more MBA and ERPID. Now save it and remember this one, like BTech 22444. That's it, BTech 2244. Now run it. Here we are using 2 for issue book and OSET. We are not getting here any option to input our ERPID. So let's check what is the problem here. We have to use a bug. We are here using first of all we have to describe a bug of size any length, let's say 4, and input it before input of our data, that is from here. Let's get and store it in bug. Now again we are compiling it, run from index.c. Now select 2 and we take 22444. You are eligible to issue book, and let's input a wrong ERP ID like MBA 12345. This will show that you are not eligible to register yourself to get book. This is a half of our program. Now what is the function of our function? If you are eligible for issue book, then what will happen? Let's understand from a diagram. If your ERP ID is valid, that is you are member of that institute, then your ERP ID is valid, and then we have to show on our screen that this and this is our book. Here we are showing that this is our book with their book ID. We have created a unique book ID for every entry, so we are using this to book to the user or to the student. So we are using here this one, that is book ID, to issue book to the student. So we are using this one with along with ERP ID, and this will stored in one new file. That in new file we are going to store ERP ID and the book ID which is issued from the user. Are you understanding? First you will start your data to show our book record, that what are our collection of books in our library. So it will be in the whole books record will be shown first, and second with their book ID, and using our ERP ID we are issuing book to the user and record it in another file. So let's create that. First of all, we are using here to show all the record of our book. So let's it will be larger here, so we are using another file and we are attaching the file here. We are calling a new function from here. Let's name issued, and we are passing one thing, our ERP ID which is stored in Word, so that we can use this ERP ID to store the value in new function. And this is an external function, so we have to include here hatch include issued.c. From here we are attaching it with this function and also describe it the exter, and this is an external function which is of void type and name is issued, and passing one argument which is of character type and pointer ptr. This is not created till now, so we will create in next page from here, which is calling from here. This is inclusion of our function, our new page name which is named issue.c, and from here we are describing a function which named issued, and from here we are calling the function which one argument, that is of ERP ID. So now let's start creating that file. Here we are create a new file whose name is issue.c, which is in this function. Here we are named it issued.c, and code here. First of all, we are using here our function name with external keyword, extern void issued, and the argument character ptr. Sorry, what is happening here? Character ptr. Let's zoom it, and here we are initializing here our values. This is our variable name, which is of integer type, L for length and I for iteration and J for iteration and ID for book ID. Now here we are creating character type ERP ID of size 12, and again str to read all the data from a file, and word of length 10, and one temporary variable and a character variable. Now we are using file of pointer fp, and so we have to include here studio.h. so that we can use file pointer here. Now we are using string copy function here, strcpy function here, to copy the data of ptr in ERP. We are copying the data of ptr in ERP, so we are here ERP, and the value of ptr will assign to ERP. Now let's print our value that it is working or not. Let's put, and here our ERP, and again we are initializing L. We are assigning L with the length of our ERP ID, strlen, string length of ERP. Our ERP ID strength will be stored in L. And now here we are using fp to open the file. We are using here a file to show our book detail. So here we are using book record .text. This file will show all our data which is stored in this file. We are using here R to open it in read mode, and here we are using while loop to get all the data which are stored in our file. Let character and get character from file pointer which till not equal to end of file. That's it. But here we are using one more thing, this bracket and this bracket. It will run till our file is not end. If our file is end, that then it will stop its execution. Now here we are using a curly braces and print the data which are read from the file and stored in ch. Here in ch, character by character data are stored in ch every iteration until our file is not in. So here we are printing character, so using ch and the value of ch. Now let's check that our file is working properly or not. Here close it and run. Sorry, f close of file pointer and let's run it. Now here we are executing it a run from index.c. Let's run it from here and input. Here this is not working. I think something is error here. Let's find it. We are mistaking one thing here. Our function name in our function name. This is our function name issue.c. Now let's build it and run from index.c. Now showing that what is happening. Choose 2 for issue book and input your ERP ID, that is btech 22444. Yes, you are eligible to issue book and this is your ERP ID and title. This is heading of our book and here this is a detail of our data. Here we have only one book ID and these two places are blank because in previous video I think we are not inputted that time. So let's input it manually from here and again run it. Let's input it from here and 1 2 3 4 5 digit, this one 5 digit. Yes, now remember this or remember this book ID 78765. Now again run it, compile it and run from here. Now input 2 for issue book and ERP ID btech 22444. This is our function, sorry, this is our data here. Till now we are only showing our data and now we are going to create that how our book ID and our ERP ID will store in one new function, sorry, one new file. So let's code it from here. From here we are start coding this. We don't need to put here this sign because only one line is here. So now create our function here. Now print to insert your book ID which is showing above. So here we are using printf and enter your book ID and let's input it in scanf function with %d and input it and in ID. In next line we are converting it in a string, but before that we are opening one new file pointer whose name is fp1 and here we are opening fp1 to open a new file which we are creating now, fopen, and we are creating here first fp1 and then, sorry, this is not first of all file name. We are creating a new file, so let's named it like book record txt. From this line we are again using, we are storing we are storing our all book record in str to compare that our inputted book id is valid or not. So let's copy it from, cut it and copy the code from here. Copy this code, that input your erp id, and from this to there, from this to here, copy it and paste here with some changes, like here we are using fp, and this is our previous code, and here this is our new code which we are copied from the previous line, previous page. Edit something, like here we are already open a book, interbook and a scanf in D, but here we are going to again open in fp1 in read mode, so that we can copy our data to str function. From here we are opening this, and from here we are storing it. Let's ch1, and from fp1 ch1, and here j plus plus. Before it we are using here I equal to 0, so that I will be plus plus. And now edit here that your book is not valid, your book id is not valid. But before comparing, we have to focus one thing, that we don't have any data in word. Here we are declaring word, but in word till now nothing is here. So in this we are storing the value of id in word in a string format. Here id is of integer type, and we have to convert it in string so that it can compare its value here. So uh, call a function to convert it. Let's call that function, which is itoa. It will convert our data, our integer type value, in our in string value. Here the value of id should be converted and stored in word. This is a decimal value. Now the value of id is converted to a string and stored in word. So here we can store our value. So now it will compare successfully. If the book id is found, then then the address of that particular place is stored in temp. If not found, then temp will be null. So here we are checking that if temp value is null, if temp value is not null, it means the data is found. So here your id is valid. Here we have to show that your id is valid, and here we are actually coding our main code. Here we will store our data in new file, and if not found, then so that your book id is not valid. Copy it from and paste here, that your book id is not valid. Please enter again. And one more thing, to enter again, we are again here doing a do loop from here to here, so that our value will store, our data will, our code will execute again and again till the inputted data is not 0. If the user input 0, then our function will be end. Here we are using that id not equals to 0. If our id value is not equal to 0, then it will run again and again, and again we are inputting our data, that is printf enter your book id, and store it in using function scanf. Here %d, and store it in id, sorry ampersand id. That's it. And from here our execution will run again and again till id not equal to 0. Now our main function is done here. Sorry, we are now using, here we can store, sorry this one, and here we are assigning, sorry we are copying our data that is from which is stored in word, that is our erp id and our book id, in a new file. So here we are using again one file pointer fp2 and open it. First of all we are declaring here that and one fp2, and again here f open, and open a new file which name is let's name it like book issued to issue to book issued to. This will open in append mode, so that our data will be again our data will be inserting in new line again and again. So here we are using one more thing, that is if this is we can check that our data is our file is open or not by inputting, by using that if fp not equal to null is not equal to null. So let's printf our value of fp2, and from next line we are using, so let's backslash n and %f to store a string type value, which one tab, and the value of erp, that our the data which is stored in erp will be printed print, it will print in file. And again we are using here erp, sorry erp not word, that is our erp id will be, sorry word is our book id na. So book id, this is printing our erp id, and this will our print our book id. Now let's close our function here fp2, and print that your book is successfully issued successfully. And let's run it, sorry successfully, and execute and run it. Before that we are checking that our file fp1 is closed or not. Here we are using fp1 open and f close, okay, that is good. And this one, now run it from execute here, and we are facing one problem. What is the problem? Here one more thing, our ch and ch1, now execute it. It is showing error again, fp1 is declared here, but one more thing, this is not of pointer type, so let's make it pointer. Now again execute it. Yes, now it is compiled successfully and run from here. Let's input 2 for issue book and ERP ID btech 22444, and this is our book ID. Here let's enter this book ID. We are forgetting to backslash n here. Let's it again. 478765. This is our book ID. Your book ID is valid and successfully. Enter book ID. This is our iteration. If we want to issue one more book, then we have to enter the book ID again. 76565. This is, if we input 0, it will end our program. That's it. Let's see that our function our data is stored or not. Let's check it here. Let's find book issue 2, but this is of file type. This is not text document, because we are missing one thing here. We are not using .txt, so let's .txt, so that we can see that. Now delete it from here and run again. One more thing, we are using this one \n, so that our data will be shown in next line. Before this we can also use \n. Now execute it and run from index. Now just see what is our value. ERP ID btech 22444, and let's input book ID 78765. This is our we are showing that your book ID is valid and book issued successfully. Now secondly, we are again inputting 76565. it will be again issued. Let's let's input wrong ID, and this so that your book is not valid, and if we input 0, then it will end our program. So now let's check that our data is inserted or not. Here book ID is successfully created. Here we are showing that this is btech, this is our ERP ID, and this is our book ID, but this is showing in next line. So we are missing one thing here. That here we are just not use \n. Now again just run it and execute. Before that, let me erase this, or not erase this. We are using this one, and here let's ERP, and heading here is book ID. Now save it and run from here again. Let's close it and run from here. Now showing that 2 and input btech ERP ID is successfully, and let's input this one, that is 11452. Yes, our book is successfully. Then input 0 to exit from program. Now let's see that our third element is entered or not. Yes, this is our third element, and it is entered successfully. So our program is done here. In next video we will code our function to return the book which we have issued from here. Thank you. If you like this video, please like, comment and subscribe my channel.